Gray Drummond is a lifetime hunter, outdoorsman, fisherman, and the founder of Florida Outdoor Experience.
Florida Outdoor Experience's hunting operation is based solely out of Chiefland, Florida. Chiefland's is a relatively small town. I think we only have 5, maybe 6 traffic lights now.
I had heard about their place. I'd been wanting to come up here, and the person I had heard about the most from is my buddy Randall Marsh, who guides tarpon with me in Fort Myers, and we're around each other almost every day from beginning of April through the end of June tarpon fishing.
Chiefland's a rural community. It's still primarily agriculture community. A lot of undeveloped property, and which makes it perfect for hunting. There's a lot of farms that are still owned by the families that go back 100 years, including my family. I'm a 6th generation Floridian. My ancestors settled this property before the Civil War, so it's got a lot of family history and heritage here.
When I rolled through the gates and started coming down the driveway here, and then I come through and it opens up into this clearing and this farmhouse that was built in the 1800s, and it looked like I got in my truck and went back into time.
I think this is definitely old Florida. This is the Florida that my great-great-grandfather grew up, and it's changed very little. And this is the Florida that we are wanting to share. Somehow this Florida has gotten away from what people associate Florida being. They all associate it with Miami or Disney World or et cetera, and those places are great, but I want to show the real Florida, the Florida I grew up with, the Florida my great-grandfather grew up in.
Other parts of the country, we have these giant deer and stuff because the nutrition is everywhere for them. There's farms everywhere, the soil's different, the minerals they get from the soil and from the plants are different. In Florida, it's really pretty unique. We have a lot of sand. Our wildlife generally doesn't get the peak nutrition it takes to grow big bodies and big horns. And that being said, with proper management and time, it's possible here. And Gray's outfit is a perfect example of that. He's spent a ton of time building in areas where they plant different kinds of vegetation for these animals to come in and feed on, for the sole purpose of increasing their nutritional intake and ultimately, growing better deer.
Most of your time is spent on a tractor or preparing food plots, mowing, keeping your underbrush down so the property doesn't get out of hand, or up a tree, scouting without a bow or gun in your hand, just sitting there trying to pattern the animals, learn what they're doing, why they're doing it.
This time of year, the deer are moving quite a bit, and he didn't have a lot of time to figure it out. And he's got a big piece of property, it's 3,000 acres right here in this one part, and he had to go figure out where there were some concentrations of deer moving.
Instead of that 2 weeks that I ideally would like to have to prepare for a group of hunters, with him giving me the challenge of 4 days. Our deer right now are ruddy, and as you know, we have a little cold front that's come through, so we have a north wind. I've been patterning these deer in this back area through this hammock. There's a good staging area, and I love to target these little draws right here. You can see how the road comes through and it bottlenecks right in here. Deer are crossing there constantly right now. Plus, all of these oak trees are dropping acorns too, which is a natural food source.
Wild Instinct Outdoors is in partnership with Ray Marine. Go hunting underwater with Ray Marine.
So we got in our stand, we got all situated. By the time we had cameras up, we still had a good hour or so before we were gonna have any kind of shootable light. As the sun started to brighten up and light starts coming through the oak trees and whatnot, start to see some does moving around. And maybe 8 o'clock in the morning, these 3 does kind of go scurrying off behind us. And about 45 yards behind me through the trees, here comes this buck that is one of the nicest Florida whitetails that I've seen. Definitely that I've been sitting in a stand and hoping that this thing might possibly actually come into bow range and give me a shot. This thing came like a ghost and was behind us and took a few steps into the oaks and disappeared. And so many times in my hunting experience, something like that will haunt you.
So I had the guys in their stand, and I went back to town, got a cup of coffee, and drove back to the gate, and I'm just waiting. And for an outfitter, you know, all the pressure at that time is on me. You know, if Chris doesn't see a deer, it's my fault. You know, if Chris sees a deer and has a chance to shoot at that deer and misses that deer, that's Chris's fault. I did my job, you know. So I was just waiting for a text that he had shot, you know. Then no matter what, the pressure's off.
About 9:30 or so, as I'm, you know, kind of thinking to myself, probably never gonna see that deer again. Just as ghostly as it disappeared, it reappeared right back behind us. And it came out and stepped out into the sunlight. And honestly, that's when it hit me. Like, this was a giant Florida mainframe 10, split G2s. I mean, this thing had character. It was absolutely, if I was gonna draw you a picture of my ideal deer, this was it. You know, and now it was standing in a sand field 70 yards from me, working down the edge of these trees. And the whole time I'm just standing there going, please give me a shot. Just give me a shot, you know? Good. Please be good.
9:45, 9:50, shortly after I was just about to give up on the hunt, I get a text from Chris, and he says, I got him, man. And that's all he says. And I'm like, well, he got him. Okay, good. So, is it a good shot? You know, I'm texting back, and he's like, yes. I'm like, well, how big is it? You know, give me some details, man. I'm driving, trying to, you know, haul back to the stand.
Quartering at me.
Kind of like this.
Yep.
On the deer.
I had an idea of what direction, thought it went, and we knew that we wanted to take our time pursuing it and didn't just want to go tromping right in there and take the risk of jumping it or whatnot. So we literally got down, hands and knees, looking for specks of blood that you wish were puddles. Here's some blood.
I always carry some ribbon with me, and so you know, wherever we find blood, I'll put a stick or a marker in the dirt so we can look back after you've gone 20 yards or so and kind of see which way the animal that you're trailing has angled.
It starts to paint a picture for you, and you are able to look from the perspective of an animal and say, here's thick brush, here's a game trail, there's low bottom.
I see a deer. I can't tell if it's him or not. No, it's laying down. Do you have any binoculars? Maybe a doe. Bed down. Dead deer, bub.
Yeah! My best deer, brother. That's my best deer. Oh my God.
It's a good deer, bro.
Unbelievable.
Been rubbing.
So much character. How old do you think he is?
I would say he's probably about 5.5 years old. You know, maybe 6.5.
He's big.
Yeah, it's hard to tell right now. These deer are rutting, and so they drop a lot of body mass and weight this time of year. So you can obviously tell he's down a little bit, but
He's been scrapping.
it's an older deer. This is one that, I mean, he's ready to be taken.
Harvested.
Yeah.
Unbelievable. And I am so lucky to have been the one to cross his path. Oh, thank you. Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. Good shot.
Wild Instinct Outdoors is in partnership with Hooters, the cure for the common restaurant.
So fortunately, we had some luck on the deer, and it was time to do a spot and stalk. And you know, we've had a drought here for probably a month, and of all times for a monsoon to come through, Chiefland, Florida was the time that we were going to do a spot and stalk. And of course, so that's just another challenge. You know, that's just another experience with us.
We had gone down to the pole barn at Drummond Pond, and we're sitting there waiting for the rain to stop.
Because we only had an hour and a half left of light, I felt the best way to accomplish this was take some golf carts. You know, we found that that is the best way to slip around on the property. They're very quiet, they don't disturb anything, and when you have 3,000 acres to cover, you know, it's a little more than you can walk in an hour and a half. I don't see anything in the spot. We've got a lot of ground to cover, and we don't have a lot of daylight because we got held up with this rain. So let's just call this spot. We're gonna go to another one, okay? I didn't see anything. I don't want us to lose daylight. Let's do it. All right.
We had about an hour of daylight left and just started running gun, basically. Going to areas where fields and turned up ground where Gray thought that we may see some hogs. Went to a couple, flanked through some pine trees, didn't see anything, and just kept moving. And sure enough, the last spot that Gray had, you know, anticipated that we might see some hogs, we pulled up, and across the field a few hundred yards away there was a good hog out in the middle of the field. And
okay, we have hogs. All right, let's go. Come on, we got some good hogs over here. Let's go. Of course, we spotted a hog, low light, across this little flat, and the only way to get to this was to trek about a mile around the pond in order to give ourselves a shot, a presentable shot, because we had to be, you know, we had to play the wind just right. We ran approximately 300 yards, and when I mean run, I mean we looked like Carl Lewis with bows in our hand and full camo on. You know, we were wide open. I knew that this was going to be if we pulled this off, it was going to be pretty epic. He's a 96 yard. '74. 73. 70. 69. Whiffs. Which is better than hitting the hog and wounding it and it running off, you know. But hey, it's a 71-yard shot, so there was a good chance he was going to pull it. We all have that in our artillery, so to speak, but I mean, remember now, when it's 10 seconds after running 300 yards wide open, fully decked out in boots and camo, carrying a bow, you know, sweating bullets, soaking wet because it had just rained, and, you know, to come to a complete stop and have your guide sit there and say, take the shot at 71 yards, you know, I mean, yeah, you're probably going to pull that shot.
everything's happening, you know, right now, second to second.
I look over to my left, and I grab Chris, and there's another hog coming in.
He's probably coming in this field. Maybe a crawler behind this tree.
Immediately, you know, it's quick, and we're gonna have a better shot at this hog. We need to make a move on this hog. And so we had a little stand of pine trees between us and that pig, and we quickly crouched down and made our way as quick as we could over to the backside of this little stand of trees.
Chris is on the dirt. I stand up behind the tree, lean over, range the hog 63 yards. Squat back down, I tell Chris, draw his bow back now, step out 5 feet, take the shot. I said, you got it? He said, I got it.
Got him? Yeah, I got him. He's coming back to him. Did you get him? I think I went right over it. I thought it hit. No, no. If it hit him behind and high. Let's go look. It's gotta be here. You hit it? Yes, I did.
The shot was a little further back than what we normally would like. So because of that, and after we assessed the situation and looked at the arrow, we decided to go in the next day to recover the hog.
I think you're gonna find that hog. We have low light. And if we go in there right now, we're just gonna push him. I say we wait.
Yeah.
Let's come back later. All right, 63 yards.
Next morning, we go out to where we had, figured the hog had gone into the bushes. Quick look around, and literally 15, 20 minutes, we found him piled up in there, found her piled up in there.
As I said, the shot that Chris took on the hog he hit at 63 yards, it was a little further back than we like it to be, meaning that he did hit the hog in the ham, which is not the textbook place to shoot any animal. However, you can hit the main artery that runs down through the back leg, which Chris did, and it makes recovery very easy.
Wild Instinct Outdoors is in partnership with American Barrels. Live free or die, a true American spirit.
Florida is full of characters. And so when we're not hunting, we might be, or fishing, we're sitting around a fire, playing guitars.
Well, Chris Whitman came up to shoot a big deer. I stood, walked out, he shed a tear.
Yeah, we had some other friends had rolled into camp, and we had a great big bushel of shrimp, and decided we'd do a shrimp boil, and we put a bunch of Cajun seasonings in a pot and boiled up some corn and sausage and potatoes and onions, and did a big old traditional southern shrimp boil and poured it out on the table, covered in newspaper, and have at it.
Every time I make it, drink it.
We're fortunate some of our good friends that have a camp about a half mile from here, they were part of Tom Petty's original band. And some of the guys that go over there to hunt and fish with those guys, they played in several well-known bands in the 70s. They're a great group of guys, a lot of funny characters around here, and we have fun. I mean, we really have a good time.
They're picking on the guitars and whatnot and smoking their cigars, and I'm like, okay, this is cool. And then they start pulling out basses and fiddles and mandolins. And I'm looking at my crew going, is this happening? Is this whole thing real? And literally sat there for hours listening to these guys and watching these guys just play and do what they love and laugh at each other and cut up and give each other a hard time and tell stories. And I'm gonna take that away from this experience just as much as that big deer walking out of the bushes.